you want to talk about the Queen Elizabeth?
Oh, the Diamond Jubilee?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
Are
great.
we on? Okay, we're on. Okay, we're on.
Okay.
And that's it. That's just live. We're live. Remember that. We're telling you we're live. Okay, it's Thursday, September 25th. You are watching the Virtual Report with Mike Thomas and
Betty Gudel from Betty on the
Go.
Go.
There you go. That's your show. Okay. And tonight we've begun, this week anyways, we've begun basically we call it like our election special. And we are going forward with trying to meet with the candidates. And today we have Ward 4 candidate Remy Boulbol. And thank you for being here today, Remy.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. Okay, and this is like, start the first question off right off the bat. Okay, reaction at the door. What's happening out there?
Fantastic. I've been overwhelmingly not surprised because we've got a pretty fantastic group of people in Ward 4, but I've been very, very happy with reaction at the door. There's a lot of people that are saying that I made a pledge to canvass the entire ward when I first announced. We've now done that, and I've had so many people say to me, you're the very first person to ever come to my door. I'm so glad that you've come to my door. I've had some incredible conversations, and I've met just the most amazing and interesting men, women, children, families in Windsor. We've got a very diverse ward, both socioeconomically, culturally, in lots of different ways. We're very, very diverse. So it's been interesting to sort of see those cross sections, and it's been pretty fantastic. We're on our second go around now. So
second go around. Okay.
Yeah,
really
we've started our
the
second
pavement.
go
Yeah.
around.
Oh, good.
Yeah. It's a long day, but it's worth it. People are very, very grateful to have some. What can you really learn about me from a piece of paper, right? So it's very important to me to get out and have those conversations, and have those conversations really inform my platform and what I'm talking about doing in Ward 4.
Okay. Our people I kind of say it this way. Are they talking about the issues? I did some canvassing, I'm going to say in my past. I did some canvassing before, and are people less open, more open? Are they making a commitment to you at the door? Or,
yes.
Okay.
There have been, houses I've gone to, gosh, so many of them, before I even get up to the door. Don't even walk in. Don't even come any further. I know who you are. You've got my vote. Don't worry about it. Heard all about you. Know who you are. We're good. I do a lot of sort of community work, so there was some areas where I was already fairly well known, but in the areas where I wasn't, especially now in that second go around, people have had a chance to sort of read media, hear more about me, look at my website, Facebook. There's been quite a few really great news stories as well from different outlets all over the place. We've done some good advertising as well, so people know who I am when I'm at the door, which is a lot easier than having folks, not know anything about you, right?
You're already getting things done.
Already getting things done. That's been it's been incredible.
With CP Rail.
Oh yes.
You've cleaned up that whole area.
And made a commitment to continue that on, right? So this is an issue that these residents have been dealing with for a long time. They've been dealing with this for years. They have worked and talked to so many different people, different levels of government, different neighbors, anybody who would help them out. A lot of people tried, they really did, but our friends at CP are not being great corporate neighbors in that way. When CP Rail came in and rebuilt the overpass there, so I've been in partnership with the province and the city and the feds as well, they installed a fence along the Memorial Drive on the eastern side of the park. That fence stops as soon as you get to the edge of that baseball diamond. And what's there on the other side of that baseball diamond are not, lovely homes where people are paying a good amount of money for those homes, where they're paying taxes in those homes, but what's there is Windsor housing and low-income seniors.
Okay.
So they didn't have a voice. No one was paying attention. Mind you, they are happy to be there. They're fantastic townhouses that they love to be in.
I think I know the strip you're talking about.
Yeah, they're really lovely little apartments and great little yards that they can't enjoy. There's a train 30 feet from their house that goes by every 20 minutes.
Right.
There's no fence whatsoever behind there. Children, pets, all of these, I'd say 90% of them have companion pets, tiny little dogs who want to go outside and play, but they're terrified to let them outside lest they get onto those tracks. It's right there. It's terrifying. There was a woman that I heard about who last year had dementia, and she got out of the apartment and she was wandering around. They couldn't find her. They were terrified that that poor woman was on those tracks. I'm so scared that it's going to take something awful happening, and then we're going to be very reactionary in saying that, we need to get something done. That should never be allowed to happen.
Absolutely not.
And the amount of effort that we put into just fixing it in the first place and preventing something awful from happening isn't that much. It really isn't that much. Put up a fence, clean up the 15-foot weeds, get rid of the snakes, and take care of your property, period.
Correct.
So we were able to make a little bit of noise. We really wanted to sort of put CP on Front Street and say, hey, you know what? This is not okay. You see what you're doing here? These poor people, they don't have the ability and the capacity. You're talking about seniors on a fixed income who are nervous and have been living like this for a very long time. CP came out within 24 hours of us being out there after, about a week and a half of it was my only focus for a week and a half. I called everybody that I knew and everybody else that I knew and promised to make them some noise, and that's exactly what I did. Our really great friends at the media definitely helped out, and we needed them to come out and kind of shame CP into doing something. It shouldn't have gotten to that point, but it did. It did. So that type of advocacy is what I do for a living, right? I've spent my whole career in the not-for-profit sector and working in community development. So regardless of, it was, Ward 4 election, I don't care what's going on here. Everything went out the window. And I said, I have to help these people. There's no way in the world that I can just let that go. It's just not going to happen. Regardless of what the outcome of the election is, I will get those people a fence, one way or the other. That fence will be put up. I'm completely committed to helping them and advocate for them, the same as I will advocate for everybody else in Ward 4. But I really want to make sure that they're heard. That's not okay at all. What if that was my mother, my grandmother, my sister, my aunt, anybody that I cared about?
And if you take it, you make it that personal, and you can see the
is.
constituents, they need that kind of assistance, they need that kind of backing.
Absolutely. It's just shameful.
Yes.
Shameful.
So what are some of the other issues in the ward that have you seen so far? Is it flooding there also? Is it major? It's a major issue for the city totally.
It is, and that's a lot of what I'm hearing. So there's kind of an overall theme of we have spent a lot of money, a lot of effort, and a lot of time on these large-scale, big-box type of projects, which are lovely and we need, but almost at the neglect of our day-to-day things. Right? We can't do everything. We have limited resources, and those limited resources have to be put forth to benefit the largest number of people. Right?
Right.
So that's kind of where I'm coming from. It would be lovely to have all of these things. I would love to have, 1 million pools and walkways here, and that's great. But I'd also like to have good roads. We need to spend more money on infrastructure. You'll hear it probably from every other candidate in Windsor because it's a huge, huge issue. We've got roads that flood. We've got people's basements that have brand new finished basements gone, flooded. Not for the first time. You've got people who don't have curbs. They've just completely eroded away because they haven't been touched in 60 years. That's ridiculous. These are residents, and it's our responsibility to take care of them better than this. In the wintertime, because there's no curbs on some of these streets, Kildare, for instance, when you're parking your car, you're up on the grass because you can't see between where the street ends and the curb begins. There's just no barrier there. So that's very dangerous. It's very scary. You get up there, you slide, somebody's dog or child or person is walking by. That's really unsafe. And the people that live there shouldn't have to live like that. I do realize that we have significant other priorities, but I have been hearing from people, of the 11,000 people that we've been talking to, they want to see something done about those basic needs, right? A lot around those day-to-day things, those non-sexy items, as I call them. Again, roads and infrastructure and sewers. Our tree trimming services. We've cut back so much that it takes more than a year to get a tree trimmed.
I've definitely been following some of those stories, whether on the news agencies, and it seems like the one woman, and I definitely saw it, where she did not. It's going to be a storm. I'm moving it 4 blocks down, and the tree is on the list. The tree was, and that would be true. That tree was on the list.
The trees are on the list.
So they're all on the list, but they're just not being taken down, and especially in the soggy weather we've been having.
Oh yeah.
It's a propensity for the trees to come.
Absolutely.
They are going to come down one way or
Absolutely.
another. So. Yeah, that is definitely an issue.
Yeah, One of the other things that has always been near and dear to me, and that I've felt very strongly about and is going over very well at the door. So my platform, I had my own ideas and sort of my own priorities and things that I thought that I really wanted to look at and work on, but I wanted to sort of wait and see what people were saying, if there's something that I'm missing. I have my own thoughts, my own ideas, but I'm one person who lives in the ward. I'm one family, my husband and my children and I. I want to hear what those people have to say and really use that to inform my platform. So, but one of the ideas that one of the things that was really kind of sticking in my craw was our transit system. That has been my priority for a very long time. Our transit system is a huge barrier to employment in Windsor.
Yes, it is.
There are jobs to be had that people cannot get to.
Or it takes them 2.5 hours to get somewhere that it should take 20 minutes to get to.
Exactly.
It's also a barrier to education.
It's a huge barrier to education. I've talked to students that say you live in Walkerville, you've got to get to St. Clair. There are 8 o'clock classes, lots and lots of them. If you're not downtown at that depot at 7 for that one bus that leaves, you're done. You're not getting to class on time. I've had people turn down for jobs, dozens and dozens of them, because they say that they don't have a car. And their employer knows that they're then not going to be reliable because our transit system isn't reliable.
Not reliable, yes.
Mm-hmm.
These are good people who want to work. These are people who have great skills. These are people who have a lot to offer to our economy and to our workplaces that can't get there. I volunteer with quite a few different agencies throughout the city, and one of them, there was a young man who was living at Salvation Army. He was trying to get back on his feet and trying to make a good go of it, and got a great job at the Bondwell plant in Tecumseh.
Oh.
He couldn't get there.
No, he couldn't get there.
Oh.
He was riding a bike to Tecumseh at 6 o'clock in the morning. Because he's living at Salvation Army, his bike was then stolen.
Yes.
Because he didn't have anywhere to really secure it. Those situations, they can't be allowed to happen. We live in an incredible country, the best country in the world, one of the most developed countries in the world. How is it that people can't get to work? How is it that we have such a huge number of working poor because they can't get to where they need to be? Well, among other reasons, and they can't get to where they need to be. Why do we have people waiting outside an hour for a bus in 2 feet of snow with their 3 children? Why don't we have more sheltered bus stops? Why aren't we doing more to make sure that the AVL tracking system and GPS tracking system and the AVL app to know where your bus is, if you're lucky enough to have a cell phone, to know where your bus is so that you're not waiting outside with your children for an hour in the snow or the rain or wherever you are. That's ridiculous, and it's not acceptable.
And I guess that becomes from the candidates that we're having through, we keep on hearing the exact same message, and from the past, the current council, I'll say,
Sure.
Okay, the current leadership, they keep saying that they did a wonderful job they've done.
They've done some good things.
Some good things.
Don't get me wrong.
Okay.
They have done some good things, and I will not begrudge them that, not at all.
Okay.
But it's
there's
time.
some missing pieces
There's
of the
some
puzzle.
things that are missing for
Yeah.
sure, and that's why on the top of so many of my ads it says it's time for change, because I really, really believe that. I decided to run back in February, mind you, before our incumbent decided that he wasn't running. I
Right.
decided to run no matter what because I really believed that it was time for change.
You were one of the first ones out of the gate. I definitely
I
did see
was
that.
the
I've been
first one
following
out
this
of the
from day
gate
one.
for a
so.
reason, because I strongly believed in that, and I still do now, regardless of sort of how everything shakes out in the end. We're going to have 4 new city councilors at least. That's a good thing. We need to have that balance. I wouldn't prefer that everybody, of course, be new, because we need to have that balance between experience and some new, fresh perspectives and ideas. That being said, yeah, there's some things that I think need to be looked at differently. There's a different priority that needs to be put on the things that we do here that I think needs to change. And it's not only me that thinks it. It's what I'm hearing from thousands of people. It's what I'm hearing from other candidates in other wards as well. It's not just Ward 4.
Okay, so what are you hearing in regards to, we get to the same thing, around the demographics, around the voting, around getting them out to vote?
Yep.
Getting the numbers, not getting the numbers up, just getting the people to come out and vote. Do you have a strategy?
Oh,
I
yes.
see you have the social media, which is big nowadays, more for the youth, and
Yeah.
some for, I'm going to say people my age,
Sure.
okay, because we're definitely in the computer generation.
For sure.
But definitely it's getting those people out to vote that need to vote. What is the message you're trying to use there?
A few things, right? So we've got a very strong social media campaign, as you said. We've got, I think we're about 1 away from 600 folks on our Facebook page.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, the message is getting out there, and it's getting out there loudly. That's really important to us, to have that constant communication. And even after, if I'm elected, that continues on. There are several other sort of, especially at a municipal level, that do very, very well with making sure that that communication stays open, and that's free, and that it's easy to do, and that they're accessible. That being said, yes, we do have a very strong get out the vote strategy. Maybe I won't go into every detail of it just yet.
No, not yet. I get it. Don't give away that. Don't give away the strategy.
We do have a very strong one. We've been very well organized from the start, and so that has everything to do with what we're doing. Now, how do you get people out to vote who traditionally don't? That's tough across the country. That's tough everywhere. We've got some wards where we have more than a 60% turnout, and some where it's 20.
Oh, okay.
So again, that goes back to sort of some transient neighborhoods, people that don't always live there, a lot of high rental rates, things like that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Talking to folks who may not be engaged completely in sort of that civic process. And having people really understand. I've been to doors where people say, so what is this city council? What do they do? There's how many of you? There's a couple of you? How many mayors? People don't know.
People
don't know.
And that's such a shame to our own education system.
It is.
That we don't
teach that. What are we doing? What's interesting though is that some schools and some teachers are really taking it upon themselves to better inform kids at a younger age. So, for instance, at Giles Campus School, one of the teachers where my daughters go to school, one of the teachers reached out and said, "Look, we're doing this student vote project that we're trying to make work. We want to sort of build young voters, get them engaged from the beginning." Now, my girls, we're very active, so they know they probably could break down the past couple of elections for you, and they're 7 and 9, poll by poll. But we're election nerds in our house. That's okay. So they get it. And I find that they're at school sort of telling people, no, so this is where you need to vote, and this is sort of how you vote. This is the advanced poll days. And it's hilarious. They're educating their peers. So what they're doing at Giles Campus is saying, hey, we want to bring in people and educate our kids about the process. What is this? How does it work? For 6th, 7th, 8th graders, young kids who aren't able to vote, but get them engaged and understand what that process is and understand how important that is. I think it's brilliant. So I'll actually be there on Monday talking to the kids and saying, hey, you know what, this is what, very basic, there's 3 levels of government. This is what we're doing here right now municipally. This is how it affects your day-to-day life. We're actually going to be starting a social media campaign fairly soon that's a bit of sort of what matters to you campaign, right? So we'd like to know what matters to you. We'd like to know, especially our young people, what is it? Do you realize how your municipal politics affects you? Do you realize all of the things that you do every day?
Like what the issues are. Like you're right, it's a busing, it's this.
Exactly.
It's cleaning, it's keeping your neighborhoods clean, it's the infrastructure, it's the flooding. This is what I'll be doing. This is what a council does.
Where you're going to hang out, everything. People don't, especially young people, don't necessarily realize, I think municipal politics has more of an effect on your day-to-day life than anything else and any other level of government. You're engaged in your municipal life every day. And the things from the streets you walk on to the bus that you're taking to the food that you're eating and sort of being supported by local tourism and things like that, everything is municipal. So I'm excited to get that message out there. As I said, I have 2 little girls myself, and it was very important to me to take them with me and have them understand that, you know what, when I went to go and file and telling them, look, this is a very important day, and it's important for so many reasons. There was a time and place. My sister was born in the States in a segregated hospital. They kicked her out while my mother was in labor. In South Carolina, mind you, in the late 60s, but nonetheless, my father went to a segregated high school. This is recent history.
Yeah, it's recent.
You need to understand that there was a time and place where I couldn't do this based on my gender, the color of my skin, or my religion. There was no way that I would be able to do this. You need to understand the significance of that and what men and women did to fight to make sure that Mama's able to stand here right now, pay her a little bit of money, and be done with it. That's hugely important, and I don't know that kids these days really recognize how recent that history is and how very, very important that history is. So I'm I'm excited to teach it to my children. I'm excited to share that with them and have them share in the process with me, and to teach it to other kids as well, right? It's we're raising a future generation of voters and kids that are hopefully going to be running as well. Hopefully, some more young women.
But, yes, but I think it's also trying to encourage everybody to remember, okay, that you can make a difference. Voting allows you to make that difference, and that's what I think all age groups of voters have to remember, not to just take it for granted. And we ran into that for a little bit. People just felt they couldn't effect change, they wouldn't make it different. You know, if Betty voted one way and I voted another way, therefore we cancel each other out. No. That one vote might still make a difference at the end of the day.
How many elections have you seen where it's down to 3, 4, 5 votes? So many. It happens all the time. All the time. So you're completely right. You hit the nail on the head. It absolutely does matter.
Okay.
And you have been doing a ton, like you said, of volunteer work. You've been an advocate for many women's groups. In fact, you have recently won the Queen Elizabeth Double Diamond Jubilee Award. Tell us about that.
That was so exciting. My daughter was not terribly happy that the Queen herself was not there, nor were there any actual diamonds. But she was pretty angry, actually. That was really exciting. It was very humbling. I mean, none of us do this because we want to be recognized for it, right? None of us do this because, hey, attaboy and a pat on the back. No. And we certainly don't do it for any other reason other than the fact that we care about what we're doing, and we realize that I have the capacity to affect some change. I am able to do that, and I don't take that for granted. I'm grateful that I was educated. I'm grateful that I was able to sort of leave a cycle of poverty that my family was in and do something with that I had the wherewithal to do that. Not everyone has those same opportunities and those same chances, so I'm very cognizant of that.
And you're a great role model to empower other women who don't feel empowered.
You know what? I really, really hope so. I've had so many girls kind of come and say, you know what? This is amazing. This is so exciting. So many from all over Essex County and from other places as well. That's huge to me, right? It's again, it's very humbling, and it makes you. I sort of check my intentions every morning before I leave the house, and look in the mirror and why are you doing this? What are you doing? And really check and sort of put those things into place and center myself before the day starts, because it can get out of control, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yes.
So going through that, it's really interesting to see how even just one conversation can lead to another conversation, can lead to 3 people having a conversation, and that snowballs into an idea, that snowballs into a plan that then gets implemented, and then real change is affected.
And that's what you're also trying to bring to council.
Exactly. That's what I know how to do, right? That's been my career since, my goodness, since the early days, I'll say, 15 years ago. That's where I started off, right? Working in advocacy, working in capacity building for other individuals and organizations to be able to really affect change in people's lives.
Okay. Well, we'll go back just as far as strategy goes just for a second, because it's been coming up, and the numbers are out there.
Right.
On whether or not is it the signage issues. Have you had any issues with the signs? Is it?
We've had some issues. I expect that out of every election.
And again, depending upon how early you put them up compared to some people later.
Exactly. Sometimes it's due to weather. Sometimes it's due to rental properties, landlords or owners saying that no, I don't want this sign here, and renters saying that yes, it's fine. Sometimes it's due to John took it off the lawn to mow the grass, and who knows. Sometimes it's kids that just come by and, oh, there's something fun to kick at. It could be anything, and sometimes it is malicious. I think it's probably several of those other things before it's malicious. We did have some signs stolen, but like I said, it's not. We investigated everyone, wanted to rule out everything, but we've had a really congenial campaign. I don't know what happened to those signs. I really, don't think that it was one of our another candidate. Who knows? I don't. It doesn't matter.
Well,
it really doesn't matter.
I don't know.
We put it back
I would agree
and call it a day.
Yes, and I would say depending upon depending upon the area, depending upon the neighborhood, depending upon what the kids are up to.
Exactly.
I'm not gonna say kids.
Along Howard and Parent there, we can't keep them up. They knock them down. They kick them around. It's par for the course. That's why we get extra. It's okay.
Now, do you think being a woman Do you think that's your advantage or a disadvantage? I think when you come to the door, myself being a woman, if you came to the door, I'd probably be more apt to open it.
Yes.
Because if a strange man comes to the door that you don't know, you're a little bit apprehensive being a woman.
Of course.
So that might...
You know what I find? Yes. So I don't know that it's, I wouldn't say that it's a hindrance for the most part. Oftentimes people are surprised if they don't know me. I have a very French man's name. And I get to the door and they're like, you're neither French nor man. So that can be surprising to people. So that's been interesting. Some people have said, you know what? You're competent and you're a woman. So if all things else being equal, I would vote for you for that reason. But that's not that's certainly not the majority. It's really coming down to, you know what you're talking about, and I'm really good with that. Women are generally more approachable, like you said, at the door, so it's easier that way. And yeah, people usually they're not so apprehensive. I don't look, I'm not
intimidating,
6'2" and 200 pounds and a big scary guy. So people are generally good as well, right? Few and far between do you get those, rotten apples. For the most part, 99% of people are really, really good and easy to deal with. We've had all kinds answer the door. I was joking and saying, once my career is over and, time to relax in the French Riviera someplace, I will write a memoir, and it's going to be entitled, Why? Why did you answer the door? Why? You don't have clothes on. Why did you answer the door? It's been interesting. Okay. But it's been a lot of fun.
Okay. So what is the, I'm getting this from the producer at the end of the day, because we must have another fantastic half hour. So what is your strategy going forward? What are you planning to do?
Knocking on doors, that is all I do. I live and breathe and eat canvassing. That is what I do. It's getting out to as many events as possible, talking to people. I'm holding 2 town halls at the beginning of October on the 9th and on the 10th, one in the north end of the ward at the Meeting House on Wyandotte, one on the 10th in the south end of the ward at Optimus Community Center, giving people the opportunity to come out, open floor discussion, have a coffee, ask me whatever you like.
Okay, and you had one debate, and that also was it. You said it was well attended. There was a lot of
more
people
than
there.
200 people. More than 200 people. It was fantastic. It was at the Walkable Brewery last week.
Oh, very good. Okay, excellent, super. Okay, what I'm going to tell you right now is thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you for having me, both of you.
Okay, and we'll do something. We'll do this with all the candidates. We'll do something. Maybe not the whole half hour. Then we can have you drop by, give us an update as we get a little bit closer to the finals.
I'll try to be concise. I generally talk too much. So.
Okay, no. Okay, so again, this has been our special election coverage between now and October 27th, the Windsor municipal elections. And we thank you again, Remy Boulbol, for being here. And the Governance Report with Mike Thomas and
Betty Gudel with Betty on the Go.
Okay, we'll be back next week.